Over to you, AJ.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Thursday Talks. Once again, the Canada Chamber of Commerce is pleased to have all our viewers across the world now, as we said before it was Canada, across the world to our Thursday Talks. COVID-19 started and we had to quickly change gears and we started our web series. Today, we are doing another web series today on one very important chapter, which is sports and entertainment. And we are excited to talk about that. Let me just run through some ground rules for today before I introduce our panelists, talk about it. We'll have some questionnaires, so get ready for some exciting times. But before that, as we said, what happened and what has happened in this particular industry is COVID-19 pandemic has given us a nearly $2.5 billion hit to this industry of media and entertainment and sports. And it has taken away over 172,000 jobs. People have started shifting their gears to start watching things on Netflix, Amazon Prime. They're sitting at home. The physical distancing has not allowed for any major events to happen in Canada, and Toronto especially, which is a hub for everyone. More than 1/4 of the revenue is generated from admission to live events. Even if league resumes their games tomorrow, social distancing guidelines have to still be given by the government. Federal government has come forward, has announced over 500 million allocation. Is that enough? We still have to go through that. It has funded the cultural heritage, sports organization, and many others. But how will it benefit everyone is still yet to be seen. Move to the next slide, please. Now, as far as Chamber is concerned, it has a very long history. It has been there for over 43 years, has assisted small businesses from time to time over again. And we had to come out with something quickly as possible. Our core team has been made. That's called the Chamber of Commerce Small Business Assist Core Group has been formed. Why? Because we want to make sure in times like these, which are tough times, we want to make sure we partner with every small business to stand with them, guide them, and make sure they take the right steps. Especially, this is an opportunity for people to grow. That's what we feel. So it is a time, if you need any help, you can get in touch with us through either email, send an email to ICCC and ICCConline.org, and the heading should be Small Business Assist Program with your telephone number and contact. Upon the receipt, our office team and our Small Business Assist Core team will review what your situation is, and someone will be in touch with you, and our help is completely on pro bono basis, completely to make sure use this opportunity. If you need any help, Chamber is there to assist you. Next slide, please. Now let's start into seeing who all are joining us today. I mean, I've got some amazing people joining. I will let them speak in a few moments. I've got Sunny Gill. And Sunny Gill, what can I say about this gentleman? He's a visionary. He's what everybody in the community calls him. He started a program which is the Punjabi International Film Festival, and later he realized that it's not just Punjabi. He wanted to make sure he reaches out to every South Asian community. Today, he's connecting Canada across to bring movies into here. That is called the IFSA, International Film Festival of South Asia. He's here with us, and we'll have some great questions from him. I'll introduce him, and he'll be talking a few moments. Kerry Kaplan is the president of Cosmos Sports Entertainment. He is a person who has spent time in the sports and entertainment industry for a very long time. He has covered more or less every sport. I'll be talking on that as well, and he will be giving us some insight. And another gentleman who is joining us, he's not new to Chamber because he was with us as a host long back in 2008 on Us With Us. Today, he's a recognized anchor with the CP24. In the past, he has also spent time in TSN Sports. We will also be conducting our hot talk with our president, Pramod Goyal, who is a veteran in the financial industry, running his own firm as well. So we'll be talking to him. And then finally, we take questions coming from you, our audience. This is where we come into play. And as your moderator, it'll be my honor to conduct today's proceeding for you. Thank you very much. Next slide, please. This is a very important thing for us to read. This is our disclaimer. The information provided at our webinars conducted by Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce is for general information purposes only and does not constitute legal or professional advice. The presentation of any material or information by a speaker or a third party regarding any specific opinion, commercial product, process, or service by trade and name, trademark, manufacturer, or otherwise does not constitute or imply Indo-Canada Chamber's an endorsement or recommendation of such opinion, process, service, item, or an organization. Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce specifically disclaims any legal liability or responsibility for the accuracy, completeness, or usefulness of any such information presented, and without limitation is for the, and this is only for information purposes only. Furthermore, the views expressed by our fabulous speakers are their own personal opinions and do not necessarily reflect the official position or policy of Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Karen. Now let's start proceedings for today. This industry is very, very close to Canada. I always say that because if you look around, Canada, when they will think of Hockey Night in Canada, Toronto International Film Festival, IFSA. They will look into anything that is happening. And now one more thing which was added was the Global T20. So this is what I say. So when a film festival or any sporting event happens, thousands of people from all backgrounds flock in, sit together, and enjoy the events or the sporting event in the arena or the theater. But for the next 3 or 4 hours, their world inside, watching those creative productions and games, makes them forget the outside world. That is the power of this industry. That's why I say this is so important for Canada. And we want to take this sector head on with our esteemed panelists. So first I bring with you with Sunny Gill. Sunny Gill, like I said, he is the founder. He's the founder and the president of IFSA Toronto, and he is a visionary. So Sunny, please tell us a little bit about yourself and IFSA.
Good afternoon, Ajay, and everyone else. Thank you very much for having me today. So like you mentioned, I'm the founder president of International Film Festival of South Asia, which is IFSA Toronto. So we started the organization in 2012, and you were there to help us. And yeah, you've been throughout this whole journey as well. So the idea or the motivation for the festival came from the fact that we as South Asians been in Canada for over 100 years, but we are vastly underrepresented in the media. So we needed to form a platform which we can utilize to share our stories so that we can weave our South Asian stories into the fabric of the broader Canadian narrative. So over the years, by I think 3rd or 4th year, we were the largest South Asian film festival in North America. And now we carry the vision to transform this organization into an institution of South Asian cinematic arts. And I'm sure with the support from all the stakeholders, we will definitely achieve that.
No, wonderful, Sunny. Means that's great. We will be talking to you. We'll be having some questions coming to you. Let me take back now to Kerry Kaplan. Means Kerry, like I said, he's a sports enthusiast himself. He is a person who is heading Cosmos Sports and Entertainment. This person, is there anything that he has not done in sports? I would like to find out more from him. But his arenas that he was managing is also a home for the largest South Asian events. And I think he's constantly busy. He has even hosted one of the music maestro, A.R. Rahman. You name the artist, every artist has performed in his arenas. So, Kerry, tell us a little bit about Cosmos Sports and how your role is and what you see for this.
Well, first of all, thank you. I know it's unusual circumstances, so it's a pleasure, everybody that's listening, and to be here. I want to thank AJ and Pramod. The ICCC does a great job. For those who don't know, you guys seem to be everywhere, so I give you credit for pre-pandemic and current pandemic and post-pandemic. You'll be there, so I want to thank you guys first. Yeah, we started in 2003, and I've been a sports marketing person really for much of my life. And as you say, we've worked in lots of sports. I was commissioner of the Canadian Soccer League years ago, and we've worked in hockey, soccer, basketball, baseball, football. But I think what what's exciting recently is we operate the Brampton Beast Hockey Club. We've done that for 7 years at the CAA Center, which is one of the busiest facilities in Canada, as you say. And we were a big part of GT20 coming to Brampton last summer, which was a historic cricket event for the community. So I think we're excited about our role in the Peel region and Brampton specifically. But it's obviously we're in very unique and challenging times for sports and entertainment. So I think it's the trick is everybody navigating through this and getting to the other side.
Oh, thanks, Kerry. Thank you. Thank you very much. You both have said one very nice thing, and I agree on that part. Like I said, tough times never last, but great and tough people do. And that's exactly what COVID is going to teach us. But during the entire pandemic, there is one industry which continuously keeps us informed. We look upon them, we watch them regularly. I know we all these days like to watch the WhatsApp and all that, but the true media houses actually keep us informed. They tell us what is there, what we can or what we should not do, and how we can protect ourselves. And that's why I have one person who has been connected with the chamber for a very long time. He looks young, but he has tons and years of experience under him. He started probably very young. So I'll introduce you Gurdeep Ahluwalia, a very dear person to the chamber as well. He is now an anchor for CP24, but in the past, he has also been a host with us with the chamber. So it is absolutely my pleasure to welcome Gurdeep Ahluwalia. Gurdeep, please go ahead if we still have you. I thought we dropped you for a moment, but yes, you have. Thank you very much, Gurdeep. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and how things are going, because you have the absolutely up-to-date information on everything.
Ajay, thanks so much. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you all. I know all your names. It's good to see you guys. A little bit about me very quickly. I've worked in media for, 18 years now. I started off in print, did some radio, did some web, and I've been doing television now for about 13 years. As Ajay touched on, I've worked in sports at TSN. I'm currently at CP24 hosting CP24 Breakfast very early every morning. My alarm goes off at 3:15 every morning, not just because of the pandemic, but because that's just what we do every morning. We're live at 5 a.m. And we take you right through till 9. It's been a really interesting and crazy and challenging time with everything going on. I don't think we've ever done anything so important, because there's really a craving for news and information right now. So it really does feel like we've become a public service, and we were lucky that the government deemed us essential workers early on in this pandemic. So we were able to keep working and bringing you information. But it's awesome to be with you guys. As Ajay mentioned, I think I hosted an event with you guys about 10 years ago at ICCC. So it's awesome to be back, and looking forward to connecting with you guys.
Oh, thank you, Gurdeep. I truly appreciate. So these were the three panelists that we are going to be chatting. But before I proceed, I also have to have the honor and I would like to introduce a person who has been a friend for a very long time, an absolute ardent fan of the chamber, who is now our current president, Mr. Pramod Goyal. He's a financial, like I said, I've prepared everyone. He's a financial guru. He goes into numbers. But when he came to the chamber as a president, I was always wondering, I've been with the chamber nearly, or actually longer than him for a while, but I was wondering, what changes can you bring to a chamber which has already lived that long? Then you have to rethink, and you have to think outside the ball. And he has brought some radical changes in the chamber, and he's also being pioneering us into the web series on every web series event that we are doing. So he's giving a lot of time. We are all volunteers, guys. So let me just tell you that. He also is the CEO and founder for Canada Whitewood Financial company that he manages. So I would like you to be introduced to Mr. Pramod Goyal. We call him the president. Pramod, please tell us a little bit quickly about yourself for everyone to hear.
Thank you, Ajay. Very good afternoon to everyone. A special welcome to all our esteemed panelists with us today, and also a very warm welcome to all those who are connected with us this afternoon. As AJ mentioned, I won't take much time. I had the privilege of leading the chamber for some time now, and I'm trying to deliver what we can. Besides my involvement at the chamber, I personally run a boutique business advisory and management consulting firm, which is primarily focused on the small and medium businesses. And looking at the impact of COVID, this is a segment that almost every industry, every business has been severely impacted, and it will keep us busy for some time to come. I mean, actively, the chamber has been, involved with helping businesses, and that's an area that I would be more involved in. But I would not take any further time, and we look forward to having an interesting discussion with all you. Thank you.
Thank you. So let me jump straight now into our Q&A section, where Sunny, I want to ask you, means the turn of decade is always huge for every industry, right? So, and film industry especially had planned a lot of major events coming up, a lot of new releases coming up. Now that we are in the third and the fourth month of the lockdown scenario, all the major festivals of the world, whether it is Cannes, they've postponed their dates time to time. TIFF in Toronto, which was the sort of the, I would say, the landscape for the Oscars as they come in, right? And same thing happens, what happens in IFSA goes into the Bollywood Awards as well. Now, where do you see the industry will have a paradigm shift coming in, both from the stars perspective, organizers' perspectives, and last but not the least, from audience side? What are you seeing on that? Now, I also want to look into, knowing that the fact is that everybody has moved on to either the Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hotstar, that is today sitting in their living rooms as families, they are watching. Tell us a little bit about the paradigm shift in this industry that's going to happen.
Thank you, Ajay. So the film industry has already been disrupted by streaming services for quite some years now. However, there will definitely continue to be a paradigm shift within the industry as arts presenters adapt and innovate to deliver in-person experiences that streaming simply cannot replicate. For stars, I don't believe there will be much of a shift, other than the fact that they now have multiple platforms they can work with and providing them with more varied opportunities to showcase their talents. There's definitely an advantage that streaming platforms provide when it comes to their ability to bring on board emerging independent filmmakers, actors to create original content. For organizers, however, there will definitely be a major shift that will test our ability to adapt. So currently, the main challenge that organizers face is finding ways to deliver our festival content in unique and innovative ways, so as to engage audiences digitally. It is important for us to replicate the festival experience digitally as faithfully as possible so that audiences deem interacting with an online festival worthwhile. In the future, festivals will be able to take this knowledge to continue to build on hybrid experiences that use digital elements to augment an in-person festival, thereby attracting larger audiences. So ultimately, I believe that festivals must over-deliver in order to wean audiences off of streaming. They must deliver exceptional experiences with immersive stories and content that stands out. So theaters have already shown great adaptations. For example, Cineplex is now developing these theater and entertainment complexes that combine dining and theater experiences all under one roof. So similarly, festivals are, already a destination for varied and meaningful experiences. So not only do they satisfy one's desire to view films, but they also satisfy the social desires by bringing people together to celebrate a common love for cinema. So the at-home experience is not sustainable in the long run, as audiences want to go out and take part in real-world experiences. So we are social animals who are meant to engage with each other, and festivals provide the perfect conduit for these interactions. So enhanced in-person experiences combined with the digital footprint will provide festivals future opportunities to expand their scope and grow. So that's my take on this.
So, I'll take 1 minute again on that. Is that you did mention that all the stars from their perspective, they already have the Netflix, so they have more, I would say, options coming in. But does that not take it from the theaters part of it, and the theaters which are there, like big box stores? that is there. So that shift is going to happen. How will that impact into the financial revenues, the models, that the jobs that are there? So I'll just take quickly on that 30 seconds.
See, but Ajay, so some of these biggest studios in the world, for example, Disney, so they have all, started their own streaming services. So, but now during this pandemic, some of them even have experimented with releasing their films directly online. But the experience has not been, what they were expecting. So now they have moved all their 2020 releases to 2021. Sony has pushed all their movies to 2021. So because theaters, because what these studios are doing, so they're releasing their films in a theater, so they're earning revenue from there, and then they re-release these online. So that's a secondary source of revenue. So I think the value for both theater, because of the social reasons that I spoke about first, and even from a financial perspective, so that will stay there, and then the online will be an enhancement of all that.
Perfect. Thank you, Sunny, on that. If any of the gentlemen on the panelist, if they have to say anything, please raise your hands and I will bring you in for any take that you want to give on the same sector or the answer the previous panelist has given. If there's no one, but okay, there you go. Kerry, please go ahead.
Sunny made a great point there. We're social beings, and I think I said Sunny made a great point in that we ultimately people want to get back to live events, and we live in a point of time. So right now we're in the pandemic. It feels like it's gone on forever, but there's been world wars. There was a much worse pandemic 100 years ago in 1918. People come back. Live entertainment is as old as the chariot races and the gladiators, and so I think that I think it's good to be optimistic and say that you can't, as much as online and streaming and Netflix and giant televisions can do, they can't replicate live entertainment and festivals and sports. And so I think we're coming back. It just it's hard when you're in the midst of it.
Oh, perfect, Kerry. I couldn't agree more. The only difference, what he said was we are the social animals. You like the social being. I like that. You've been very good on that. But Kerry, coming to you now that you are there, let me say one more time. Not many people know how many feathers you carry in your cap. As far as I have seen, I've known you for a while now already. You have had sporting events coming to you, Canada, and that you have given the one Canada loves. But from Indian perspective, you have given so many events coming in your arena. Not many people know, and I was with the chamber at that point of time, that when you supported an Indian ice hockey team coming to Canada, and we arranged a game with Brampton Beast. So you touched the emotions for Indo-Canadians which were here by bringing a game which is very popular to Canada and arranged the ice hockey game with Brampton Beast, and we had to arrange the entire media joining us.
Yeah, I would say, sorry to jump in, it's a funny story because most people in Canada, most people from India that I talked to did not believe there was an ice hockey team, and it was the national ice hockey team of India that we brought into Brampton a few years ago, and they play in the northern part of India. So that was a real privilege to do that, and yes, it's ice hockey. It was not. So that was a great experience to do, and as you said, we've evolved, and the Beast, I'm proud, have been there for 8 seasons, and then we've now tried. We're in the process of doing something that's never been done before, and we feel like the merger of ice hockey and cricket is so perfect for the Peel region, and that's in the essence of what we're trying to build right now.
No, thank you. Like I said, so you gave us last year the Global T20 right here, and I think the entire South Asian community, but especially I speak on behalf of every Indo-Canadian here, they were delighted that event came right into the heart, because cricket is like a religion itself there. But now coming to the main point now, if you look into the NHL, NBA, and Blue Jays, everyone has already shown signs that they are coming back. MLS has just announced last week that they are starting on July 8th. That's coming in. Do you think these are great steps in the right direction? And as Brampton Beast and Global T20, are there possibilities to see the Global T20 in 2020, which would have been a perfect thing? The last part that I added, is been coming as a request to me by so many who are big fans of your organization, but also are involved with the NHL. I mean, there is hockey night in Canada. We have a hockey night in Punjabi as well. So the games are so important to South Asians. It brings in the best of everyone, the competitive spirit. What do you think about the steps that are taken right now? How are your steps coming from your side as well?
Yeah, I know, and Gurdeep can speak to this too. I know he was at the Hockey News and has got a big sports background related. I mean, people are so anxious. I mean, I think the NHL and the NBA and people are so anxious to get sports, even if it's not with live people there, that I credit the leagues that are trying to come back, but there's a lot of unknowns. There are a lot of variables, and we'll see. I think that the ones that have started coming back, things like golf and auto racing, it's been relatively successful, but it's different. So I think I would say that. As far as the Beast and Global GT20, I mean, the Beast, we have an advantage that we don't start till October, so we still have a little bit of time to make that decision. The hope is that we do come back. It's been tough for Global T20. I think that no official decision's been made. Obviously, it was originally going to be in June. That's not going to happen. But there's still, a bit of hope that something could still happen in 2020. But those decisions are still finalized. I think, as we all know, things are changing on a daily and weekly basis. So at this point, there's a lot of wait and see, but there's still hope there.
Yes, Gurdeep, go ahead. Audio for Gurdeep, please. We cannot hear audio for Gurdeep. There you go.
Got me?
Yeah, good.
Got me? Okay. Yeah, I mean, just to dovetail off Kerry's point, there's so much information coming out every day. Sometimes I get messages from people saying, hey, why didn't you cover this story as it pertains to COVID? Or why didn't you cover that story? And the truth of the matter is, I mean, we work in half-hour news cycles, and I liken it to, it's like trying to take a sip out of a garden hose. It's hard to do because there's so much coming out. And, our job in the newsroom is to try and process it, figure out what's important for our viewers, which is primarily Southern Ontario, though you can get us all over Canada, and give you the most sort of relevant information. In terms of sports, I completely agree with Kerry. I think everyone is really thirsty for this. I think sports represent normalcy. I mean, look, sports are escapism, right? We all watch sports to sort of forget about our lives for 2 or 3 hours. And, I think sports like golf and racing, as Kerry touched on, are set up to physically distance. I think it's going to be a lot trickier, with hockey, with basketball, with the NFL, sports that are inherently physical. And I think while we're all encouraged, and I'm encouraged, and I'm refreshing my sports apps every hour to find new information and checking Twitter, I'm encouraged to see tangible dates. Great. NHL camps are going to open July 10th. Great. We might get NBA basketball in August. I think everything comes with a massive asterisk and a caveat. I mean, let's get excited about these dates, but let's not get too excited. I think while we're all, I'm fantasizing about, grilling on the barbecue in August and having a beverage and watching a Raptors playoff game at 1 and then a Leaf playoff game at 7 and it just being the perfect summer day in this crazy alternate universe we're living in. I'd say, let's proceed cautiously because, we see what's happening in the States with spiking cases, right? If the NHL picks a hub, and then let's say it's Las Vegas and Vegas starts spiking again, everything is sort of out the window. So I'd say everything is sort of penciled in. Nothing is written in pen at this point.
I fully agree. Means again, like I said, our sports are a lot dependent on the southern partners that we have. So everything depends on what happens there. Like they say, if they sneeze, we catch a cold. Right now, we need to watch everything happens from their end. That's what we are focusing on. But I have one question coming to you, Gurdeep, then. You have stayed on air every day throughout COVID. You are among the few people who have not taken breaks. And you have seen the newsroom coming up. Tell me what has changed? What has changed and pivoted from the start of the pandemic? And I have one more thing to add. You've just heard our two panelists on air right now. What would you add onto this sector for Toronto? And I believe Toronto is the heart of all the games that happen in Canada. That's what people look up to. So what would you add on that? So two part of the questions. Please go ahead. We'll drop Gurdeep. Guys, did we drop Gurdeep there? Okay, great. I'll move back and I'll get back to him quickly as possible when he comes back. We will catch him back to back then in that case. Sometimes the channels do drop off. Sunny, means, like I said, means we have spoken to you. Gurdeep, are you back? No. Sunny, so when major festivals that grow over years, they basically make sure the culture also grows in the city. And I'm talking of all the ethnic events that happen here. When something like this happen, it's like throwing the wrench into the wheel, and it will now need a massive Hercules task to put everyone together. You need the support to come from the municipal, the provincial, and the federal to look into how they can ensure that this industry survives. What would your message be to all the levels of the government that you deal with on daily basis when you're doing the event? And I would look into one more thing. In your crystal eye ball view, how do you see now this shaping up with the funds coming in the next, let's say, a year, put about 6 to 8 months from here? What do you see?
Ajay, you rightly said the ability to act as an institution for arts and culture within communities is certainly one of the major draws to operating an arts organization. And while this ability has been stifled by COVID-19, it's still very much possible for festivals to stay resilient through this global crisis and come out of it even stronger than before. So we have to just, utilize the lessons learned and experiences gained through this time. So now is the time to diversify your programming and develop innovative new initiatives, include technology as a partner. So apart from this personal responsibility on the leaders of arts organizations, government bodies can certainly lend a helping hand, especially with the realization that during times of crisis, the arts become more important than ever. So Canada's art and culture sector contributed $55 billion to the GDP and was the fastest growing sector. But once the COVID hit, it fell to the bottom of the list. And governments at all levels are certainly empathetic to the situation. So we have already seen new programs come out with increased funding in response to the difficulties that COVID has presented. We should continue to be expanded upon. So it should be ensured that this funding is distributed equitably to organizations of all sizes instead of it only going to existing well-established institutions. The main purpose behind this funding should be to help ensure the sustainability of the organizations during these uncertain times and then to enable them to turn their creative ideas into reality. So now, looking beyond the current crisis, I'm hopeful for the future of film festivals. Like I said earlier, also, technology has augmented many industries, and entertainment is no exception. So I foresee technology playing a key role in enhancing the festival experience, both in person and digitally. So technology and digital experiences certainly cannot replace the social interaction and immersive nature of in-person festivals and events, but rather can enhance them in unique ways by broadening the scope and nature of their activities. So ultimately, once the global pandemic is over, so there will be a great desire from audiences to engage in social activities once again. So which will make the experience of a physical film festival or other arts display invaluable. So for us, IFSA, so right now we are dealing with the current pandemic situation by taking IFSA virtual. Normally the festival happens in May for 15 days long. So we made plan A, then plan B, then plan C. But now because of this continued uncertainty, so we decided to take the festival online. So now IFSA virtual 2020 will happen from August 7th to 16th. And so what we have learned through this is actually we should be able to use technology even going forward. So that means we will have our in-person film festival, but we will certainly keep the virtual footprint, and it will actually help us increase our scope and even reach out to even larger audiences. And also for future, for us, IFSA, we certainly are developing as an institution of South Asian cinematic arts in Canada. So our role is not limited to showcasing cinema, but to develop and preserve it also, to be a catalyst for South Asian stories, and to act as a platform for education and development. So we have utilized this time to bring even more clarity to our vision and mission. And you will hear about a number of new initiatives from IFSA very soon.
Oh, that's wonderful, Sunny. Touching back on one more point quickly on that, is that I've seen the festival grow from 3 to a week and now 15 days. When you ask for support to come from the all levels of government, but there's a community engagements as well, and that same model applies to every community in Canada. It means you can either travel the world or come to Canada. We can show you the world because the world lives here. So we have all the communities which do their own festivals. What can the communities play a role back? And let's say organizations like Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce come in to rescue and help. In what way similar organizations appear in every community? How can they be engaged into be part of that and helping it? We have been part of and supporting IFSA throughout, but actually in these times you need a lot more help. What should be the message to all such organizations to come forward and help? And that can apply to all the Cosmos sports or any other regional or city sports. That goes to all. So what would your take be on that? And the quick 30 seconds, please.
Yes, definitely, Ajay. You know, the arts organization and also the sports organizations, they thrive on these community partnerships. So ICCC has been our partner for IFSA for many years, both at the personal level also with all the friends who are there, but also as an organization. So going forward also, I think we as South Asians, we do a lot of good stuff, but we fail at institutionalizing the things. I mean, I can only think of ICCC and few others, you know, which have been there running, for a long period of time. So we definitely need to, we need to get behind the initiatives that have, taken a certain shape, and then we help them grow further. So that's where my request would be to the community, to the ICCC community, and our community at large to come out and support IFSA.
I take that message to every community that is in Canada to go and support your own community initiatives. It's not just the role of the government and municipal government. It becomes a responsibility for everyone to stand behind. I see Gurdeep is back. Thank you very much, Sunny. If anyone has a quick take on that, please raise your hands. Otherwise, I'll move now to Gurdeep. We lost you, but good to have you back. So I said that you are on air. That was my question coming to you. You have been on air throughout COVID. So you have seen through the pandemic. Now, let me ask you a question in the newsroom when you're there. From the start of pandemic to now, what has changed? And the second part to you, as you have heard already, and you have heard the second part of certain questions that Sunny as well as Kerry has mentioned, what can you add to these sectors? Toronto, which is the hub for entertainment and sports, what can you add to that? So tell me on both the fronts quickly.
Yeah, good to be back. And of course, it's the broadcaster who's having connection issues. I apologize, guys. The screen was freezing, but I'm back. Hopefully it stays good. It's interesting. Kind of dovetailing off what Sunny had said off the top. In terms of streaming services disruption, TV was already in a very big paradigm shift before this pandemic started, because as you guys well know, the term cord cutting is a real thing, right? Cable is sort of going through what and things going to streaming, things going to Netflix and all that. That's what was already existed. And then COVID-19 hit. And oddly enough, our ratings have actually gone up during COVID-19, again, because I think people are really craving news and information. People are home, so they're watching for longer, and they're really dialed into what's happening.
You're losing him. We lose Gurdeep there, so I'll have to listen to him in a few moments. Kerry, you heard the first question that was there when I was talking to Sunny about the support coming in. Yeah. Now, you are facing with the sports, it's a little different ballgame because we have national and international fundings. When I say international, it's basically the NHL, NBA. When that happens, support comes from US as well to those leagues. Now, do you think in COVID-19, our emphasis towards the raw talent that comes usually from city-based, so whether it is OHL or whether it is any leagues that are running in smaller cities, that needs more support, because the break that happens right now will impact on that. So how should you see that that needs to be distributed well? How can we make sure that the incoming streams of raw talent does not stop? And I will ask one more question on that to be added on it. We have seen a major influx of the South Asians or the world communities living in the Peel region. And you brought the Global T20, you host a lot of events in between Mississauga and Brampton. Do you think that you can start bringing in all the sports, whether you are already doing kabaddi and all the other sports, all the other international sports, get an audience? Peel region and Brampton, to be on focus on that, can be the hub for all the international sports here.
AJ, it's a lot. You asked about 6 questions there, so I see if I can. I think you covered everything at one time. First, I think I would say, and Sonny made a good point there, and I think the funding. I give the government at all levels a lot of credit. I think without the funding for the government, from the government, I think a lot of people would be in tough shape. However, I'd say there's organizations that are left out. You mentioned $500 million to amateur nonprofits. Well, there's lots of for-profits, but just because they're for-profit, they may lose money. There may be different investors. There may be private groups, and oftentimes some of those organizations aren't covered. So I'd say the one thing is the support during these times from government's important. And then you asked the question about what can people do. I think safety's first, and people have to feel healthy and comfortable to leave their house and to go out. But once you get past that point, go out and support. If it's it always comes back to ticket sales and sponsorship and partnerships and things like that. So that's how you support a festival or a sporting event or a team or an event. Is ultimately you can do it by going yourself. The one thing I would say, I'm encouraged by golf. Golf opened up, recreational golf, and the golf courses are busier in Toronto this month than they've been any previous year. And what that tells me is there's this bent up energy that people want to get back out and be in that social environment and do that. So, and I think the last point of your question, yeah, I'm a big believer of Peel. Peel's you combine Mississauga and Brampton, it's the 3rd biggest city in Canada. It's a massive group and tremendous. It's one of the lowest crime rates in the country. It's one of the fastest growing populations. It's a great place, and I think there's no reason that culture and entertainment can't become even bigger and bigger. I think a lot of us still think of us as I always say when people live in Mississauga and Brampton and they travel to New York and someone says, "Where are you from?" they say Toronto. And I want people to start saying, I don't like that answer. I want people to say, I'm from Mississauga or Brampton. And if you live in London, Ontario, that's what you say. And I think that pride of the Peel region still has to come. And I think with that, I think GT20 did something to define Brampton a little bit in that way. So I don't know, I might have answered 4 of your 6 questions, but that's, I gave it my shot.
Which is very important to me. And I'm a sports enthusiast, and I've got my son who has played practically every game, and my weekends used to be in the arenas from morning to evening. So raw talent coming out of the smaller cities is very important to me, because the moment you put a break on that, you are actually delaying the incoming influx of the great talent that Canada has produced, for sure. So what will be your take on that, please?
Well, I would say GT20 was a great example. People focus on Yuvraj Singh and Chris Gayle and the top stars that played. But what people don't realize is all the members of the Canadian national team played in that tournament, and they played with some of the best players in the world. So what that did is it took, as you say, the locals. If you're a local cricketer and you were from Mississauga or Brampton or Scarborough or Vaughan, and you got to play in GT20, it's taken those people to a whole other level. So I think by exposing a top entertainer or musician or any type of athlete to local talent, it helps make that local talent that much better.
I couldn't agree more. I'm all into favor of that. Gurdeep, good to have you back again.
I'm
Fabulous.
not sure how much of my last answer you heard.
I mean, we heard a bit of it, but you can touch base on that quickly for 1 minute, please. I think the connection is again lost there. Okay, Sunny, you have the finger, your hand up, so please go ahead. You wanted to give a comeback on Kerry, so we'll come back on that. Gurdeep, we lost you. We're sorry about that. Sunny, go ahead, please.
No, I just want to say Kerry made a great point that how these cultural organizations and sports organizations, they become a platform for local talent. Like we since 2012 we specifically had a mandate to support the local talent, and we had some of the great examples of success also. For Sidhu Moosewala, he's like a star now. Everybody knows about him, and he sang for the first time in Canada on our stage at Sheridan College even. So there are a number of these other examples. So when we bring in either it's cricketers like Yuvraj or we bring in actors like Manoj Vajpayee or directors like Anurag Kashyap, and then we put them in a small room where our up and coming talent has that they can do the one-on-one interaction and learn from them. So I think that adds a lot of value to our local communities here.
Like I said, I'm all about local talent. I'm all about promoting Canada, not today, but Canada of the future. Because if we don't give them opportunities, we cannot proceed forward. And that's what always has been my focus. So without further ado, let me bring along with me our president, who has always some tough questions to ask. So that's why we call it the hard talk. So Pramod, please take it away. And you have questions, and I'll come back to Gurdeep after that.
Thank you, Ajay. No hard questions. I mean, just continuing with our discussion that you were having, I was listening. And so I'll come back to Kerry. We were talking about revenue streams and support from community and businesses. And as we all know, all big ticket items, like whether it is sports, entertainment, events, which are like they highly rely on sponsorships or support from business community. Now, as we are noticing with the pandemic, all businesses, especially bigger corporations, everyone is severely impacted, and their own revenues are kind of dwindling. Businesses are down. So, what is the likelihood of all these bigger corporations or smaller community organizations with limited surplus funding to come in and continue supporting, whether it is uh, sports events or other entertainment events, at least in the shorter term? And what would be other avenues that organizations like yours could perhaps be looking at in terms of offsetting that loss?
Well, it's a great question. I thanks for asking that. I think people, and I know there's a lot of business people that are listening in, and I think people misunderstand sometimes what sponsorship is. Sponsorship makes money, and I think people look at it as an investment. If there are, I always say there are better causes. If you're gonna donate your money, you're much better off giving it to the Children's Hospital or to cancer research. Don't support cricket or hockey or baseball or a festival. The reality, however, is it sponsorship works. It's like advertising on Google or Facebook or putting it out on a billboard. If done correctly, it's a way where you can engage with thousands of people, and ultimately it helps grow your business. So I think that the method, I would say, even in difficult times, sponsorship is generally, and I know I'm biased, but it's a great investment. It's ROI based. Otherwise, it's not sponsorship, and it's not really effective. So I would say to companies large and small, even if times are tough, that's the time to do marketing. That's the way out. I think one thing I hear from Sunny and the guys here is optimism. I think it's the people that are resilient. It's easy to get down in these times and say, what am I going to do next? But it's the people and the companies, the individuals that can take this as an opportunity. Obviously, keeping health first, but then take it as an opportunity and say, so maybe I'm answering it differently, Pramod, but I would think sponsorship should go up. Because now it's different vehicles. Sure, some of it's going to be streaming and online, but I know at the Brampton Beast we've been we've kept all of our partners have stayed on. Not one of them's canceled. Now we've adjusted some of the relationships, but so I would just say I think it's to think of a sponsorship as a partnership, and in that context, it should be a good investment for your business.
Sure. No, I agree with what you're saying. And I think Sunny wanted to add something. Yes, please, go ahead.
I agree wholeheartedly with what Kerry just said, and we are also similarly fortunate that all our corporate sponsors and our stakeholders, they have wholeheartedly supported the festival during this time. So Bank of Montreal, Turkish Airlines, Insurance Bureau of Canada, Dairy Farmers of Ontario, so all of them. So really want to say thank you to them. And one thing that we have to, as a community, we have to start thinking of arts and sports as as a cause as well. So normally, we think of arts, to be, or sports even, to be the last on our list. But if we look at the benefits that are there, the social benefits, the economic benefits, the health benefits of these, then we should start making these a priority as well. And one thing that definitely, Ajay, to your earlier point, how ICCC can help and how our community can help. So we in our South Asian community lack that culture of cultural philanthropy. Like in the mainstream Canadian, if we look at, there are like in hundreds of foundations who are donating funds to the grassroots organization, cultural organizations, sports organizations. But we as South Asians, we do not have that culture yet. So that would be one thing that I would, like to happen.
Noted for sure.
I made a note of that as well.
One other question that I want to delve in back, I think you were initially mentioning about the government support. And I also know, and I've also heard in the news talked about that if you talk about Canadian government, I think they committed about 500 million to the arts, culture, entertainment, and the sports industry for help coming out of this pandemic. I just want to touch base to get a little bit more insight on. You spoke about that this is primarily aimed at non-professional organization, non-professional sports, other fields. So, so that means all other for-profit organizations or professional event management companies, they would not be entitled for any support, even though I think indirectly, if you look at any big sport event or entertainment event would support indirectly other hospitality, travel, and other related businesses and industry. So they are key actually to support the other industries and the travel industry. So what can be done? I mean, in terms of where we see the missing link, and is there anything that our provincial or municipal government are also doing? And anybody clarify a little bit more?
I mean, I can take that quickly. I mean, I'm biased on some of that, but for just GT20 and the Brampton Beast alone, we've invested about $50 million in those two sports in the community, and the economic impact, as we did some studies by some outside, is about $200 to $250 million. So there's a real value in that, and we're just small. You look at Sunny's organization, and we're just a small piece, and that alone has that type of impact. So I think I would say it's just encouraging. People have a mindset that government money and tax dollars should not go to for-profit businesses. It feels like a very negative when you hear those words, but really that's not what it's going for. What entertainment does is, as a couple people said, it's an escape. It's quality time with your children. It's family time. It's memories that you remember your whole life. Those things are priceless. And to me, that is what taxpayer dollars is supposed to be. I would say all the parks in the city lose money, but nobody complains we shouldn't have parks. or community centers or art galleries, and it should be the same. So I think I would just say for people to encourage that, and we notice it now in the pandemic. Culture is extremely important. It's a big part of our life, and I think it's a great place for tax dollars to go. That's what I would say. It's just a lot. It doesn't replace money that goes to hospitals and schools and bridges, but yes, it should also go to culture and for profit, which often means groups that may be losing money but are trying to get ahead and investing is also good. So I don't know if that helps clarify a little bit.
No, for sure. Anything you want to add, Sunny, on that?
Yes, I agree. Again, I think we are on the same page on everything, me and Kerry. We definitely need to, get into this PPP model. I mean, we have seen this happening in other sectors, even our health sector. We have seen that model. I think we need to encourage that model in the sports and cultural sector as well. Like Kerry said, culture. So it is most important during these during this isolation time. Actually, I did a post on my Facebook, just a question: how long can you survive without watching a film, without reading a book, without listening to a song? And I think the longest time I got was maybe 1 week. How important it is to our mental health. So we have to start looking at this sector, the sports and cultural sector, as on a equally important as we look at education or health. So those sectors.
Right. One other key question, I think we're running a little bit behind time, but another one important aspect that I wanted to touch base on is like all these events that we talk about, whether sports or entertainment, insurance also plays a key role. And I think pre-pandemic, so I think every major event, every production house or filmmaking or any major event would have insurance coverage. And but now I understand like most of the insurance companies would have at least COVID or anything related excluded from the policy. So now in the short run, anybody who is going ahead with any, say, bigger sports tournament or say film festival, and if you don't have a coverage and there could be any kind of situation arising related to this, so how would you get covered? I mean, and then would it have an impact on organizers putting these kind of events or shows? Kerry, do you want to answer?
Sure, I'd say it's a good question. It's a great unknown, Pramod. I think that I think that's one of those variables. Obviously, there's a lot. The insurance industry all around the world is dealing with that exact question. So I don't think it's sorted as of yet. But again, I'm the optimist that the insurance industry will figure this out and that we'll find a way back. But at least from my end, I don't think that's been resolved as of yet.
Would that open up any kind of liability issues, like say sports, something that gets on way and started, and if anybody gets impacted, so would that create any sort of liability issue?
It would, but you know what I always say? I mean, we all look at this and say somebody could come to a game and get hit with a hockey puck or a cricket ball or basketball, or they could fall off and it's happened. People have someone fell in a baseball game and passed away from a balcony, and there's a level of risk. We obviously are going to follow Health Canada, but I don't want people to think that this is unprecedented in the sense of it's a risk. It's new. I think what's so is nobody understands it, but to me it should be, again, I'm not in insurance, but I would like to think that insurance companies should insure this just like they insure a lot of other unknowns.
Okay. AJ, I know you're looking at the watch, but okay. Thank you, gentlemen, for answering my questions. And I think I'll have to revert back to AJ, so behind, and I think he has to take up some questions from the audience as well. Thank you from my side.
Thank you, Pramod. Means I just want to add on that. Means I come from the travel business, so we have seen. So when we talk about insurance and risk factors have always been there, but as we move forward, It's just the risk types will change. So the insurance types will change accordingly. And that's what I look into. And I think both the gentlemen, we missed Gurdeep, but would love to hear his views as well on this. These are all there. And we touched on that. And one of the questions which we looked into is related industries which are there with events, film festivals, sporting events, is all the subsidiary restaurants, bars that run with. How many times you have gone to a movie or gone to a game and not picked up a popcorn pack or a pop? Everything attributes into revenue. So those supporting sectors right now are also struggling with all that. So we need to make sure we are very wary about that to make sure when we go back, we still go and support them. I have a couple of questions which are coming in for me. One of the thing is the South Asian children usually are involved in certain types of games or certain types of events. How would you look into from the sporting perspective? These are Q&A coming in through us from Facebook Live. How would you, that was coming from Mr. Surendra. So he said that, how would you engage them? Side to go into more into hockey, like similar Maple Leaf does hockey with kids, and they call the kids from the community to come and participate with them. Similarly, I've not seen that happening much in TIFF, but would love to see on IFSA how we can engage young kids who are not yet aware of the industry, but bringing them in. Your take, and you can take anyone, please. Kerry, please.
Sure, I can go first. Sure. Yeah, youth is the future is everything is about the youth. I mean, at the Beast, we do school days games, and we have 4,000 kids from schools all across Brampton, and they come out to our games, and companies provide those tickets. And what that does, it gets people to learn about, it gets people that have not been familiar maybe with hockey to learn about the sport. I actually think hockey actually to me does a much better job, as does soccer. I think cricket has a long way to go. I'll tell you on cricket what I'm disappointed with. So I live in Mississauga. The fields are packed. Everything's booked. Not enough kids, not enough girls, not enough women. It's almost, and I've been in, as you say, AJ, I've worked in many, many sports. I don't know if I can think of a single sport where I see less percentage of kids on the pitches. So what I'd like to see is cricket schools and camps and youth programs. I think that's a big thing that I see that's missing in Peel. It's because there's a limit on field time. So I think when the fields are there, the adult men who have played cricket and love the sport want to make sure they play. But I'd love to see a big percentage of that time allocated, because I think that's it. Once kids get into anything, if it's theater, if it's sports, once they get involved, they get excited about it, and that's how they're going to be more active.
Sunny.
On this, I think we also have to work on our traditional parental values. We come from a culture where we have given more focus on education and careers like being a doctor or an engineer, accountant. But in here, what I'm now seeing is, the kids who are growing up here, they are taking up these other, streams of education as well. For example, Sheridan College has a huge films and television department. And so there are a lot of our young people who are now joining those, and they're getting their 4-year degrees from there. Similarly, York University. And so as a festival, we do have a special focus on young people through our Youth Lens Film Festival. And all these workshops that we organize, the learning series, which keep on going on throughout the year, we again focus on bringing in young people. And we have this mandate to actually have 50% of the local film participation in our programming. And we are quite achieving that. So we are quite hopeful that we will try to contribute as much as we can in this.
Great. Thank you, Sonny. I think you're so right. The responsibility and ownership also lies at home. So I encourage everyone, all our South Asian community listeners, their families, to make sure the kids get to participate in these activities, because an all-round growth for any children to come up can only happen when you are involved in all the other things, and let them make a choice where they want to move forward with their life, because they start doing that. I have another question which has come, which is technology-based, and I think very rightly put so by Mr. Michael Nituda, who's asking about virtual reality is going to be playing a major role. How do you see that right now in both on the entertainment side, on film festivals, and as well as in the sports side? What kind of balance we will see that? That's again a quick 1.5 minute on those. Sunny, you can go ahead.
I mean, it has been tried, Ajay. I mean, especially with the film festivals. Now we have, a special segment for VR experiences. But then, you cannot have that full experience that you get for the in-person sports event or an in-person festival experience. So I think for now it will remain just experimental, and also I would say just for the health benefits of VR. I don't know if how beneficial it is. So at this point, I think it is more an experimental, uh, than actually becoming something very big.
Kerry, you have a take?
I would agree. I think it's but it's hard to replace 1,000 people applauding together or 200 people cheering together, and I don't think any of these other forms can do that. It still goes back to that people being in a theater together, people being at a festival, tasting different foods, or being in a movie theater. So I think there's a future. I think virtual reality, esports has taken off, but I tend to skew towards there's nothing like live events and people being together.
I echo that. We have actually concluded our time right now, but so much thank you to both of you. It's not the time that we want to be living into, but like I've always said, tough times don't last, but great people and tough people do last, and that's exactly what we look forward to that. So with that, I want to thank both of you for your points, and also Pramod. We missed our person, Gurdeep was amazing. He was a young man, but I think we will need to have them. I want to thank our chamber, who has been absolutely phenomenal in doing, my colleagues on that. Let me just have some of the slides coming in right now. One of the partners which has supported us throughout our web series, this was a new segment. So our technology partner, Tangential and Karen, has been helping us at the back end right now. So thank you, a team that is run by Vijay Thomas. So thank you very much for your support. Chamber is being supported by a lot of big sponsors with us. CIBC has been our lead sponsor for a very long time. We do separate events for them as well. Turkish Airlines, I'm just looking forward to have them on air soon, to be running a full segment with them. They'll be with us soon. TD has been with us as our silver sponsor for a long time. ICICI Bank and Peter and Paul, our bronze sponsors, they have been supporting us. Our sector sponsors, RBC, SBI, TELUS, Raymond and James, and Global T20, Seneca College, they have supported us a lot. And our media partners, like I said, our media partners have been strong as well. Weekly Voice, Punjabi Canada, and Channel Y, they have done a lot for us. We want to make sure all these people are acknowledged when they are there. So I want to thank every part of our sponsors who have been with us. And if you have any questions on these webinars that we have done in terms of membership, let me just take a quick moment on that. Chamber is one of the oldest business chamber for any Indo-Canadian community across North America, I would say, in Canada for sure. But if you need any help, this is the place to go. I call it the Holy Grail for all who want to come back to. This institution has been there for every business. Many of us has learned. We are all volunteers. So come and join the team. Come and help us. At the same time, we are there to help every person. That's how we have grown. The chamber is the largest one as well. So I look forward to this. If you have any question, get in touch with our office or get in touch with any of our directors for membership. Do not miss the opportunity to connect with us on our Small Business Assist program. And please do write to us your feedbacks on ICCC and ICCConline.org. I want to thank again, Kerry, you and Sunny and Gurdeep coming in, and Pramod. Thank you very much. Like I said, the main thing happens is when everyone, 100,000 people applauding, sitting in their home is a nice thing to know. But you have 25,000 doing that together in one place, makes a hell of a lot of difference. The memories that you take are going to be unforgettable on those. So With that, we want to end it on a great and positive note for sports and entertainment industry, which is going to be bouncing back in a great way. And we see these leaders who are showing us what it can be done. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for connecting with the world audience that we have today. And we look forward to seeing you next week for our next session, which is coming in on the travel. I call travel the new beginning. That's what everybody's been talking in the travel, the new normal. I am from the travel business, so I'll be conducting that next week, Thursday. Do not forget to connect with us. We call it Travel, the New Beginning. And we will have some amazing leaders joining us from Ontario, from US, from India. That'll be a complete international session you don't want to miss. Thank you once again. Have a wonderful day. Please stay safe. Follow the instructions from the government. And we thank you for connecting.